Hello everyone and welcome to my Commander training video on the new NOD unit, the Laser Drones. Now this video is sponsored by EA and is brought to you by EA Game Changers. It is very nice of EA to sponsor me for this video. They didn't have to. As most of you are aware, I produce a lot of Rivals content on my own, but they very happily said that they would sponsor me for this particular video. So that's really kind of them and I really appreciate that because it helps me continue what I do. So the NOD Laser Drones, what are they? Well, they're a flying drone swarm unit that is good versus vehicles. Very low HP, but a DPS that is similar to that of the laser troopers. The benefit that they have is they are faster than the laser troopers, and they're also flying, so they can move over terrain. So we're going to have a look at some of the matchups now that the laser drones have. They can be a very annoying unit to deal with, especially as an open harvester rush. Actually being such low cost and coming from the air tower, there is a fairly risk-free way of opening and putting pressure on your opponent's harvesters, but you do have to be aware that a simple set of missile troopers or laser troopers can deal with your laser drones very quickly. So depending on the map, it may or may not be a good idea to open with them as a harvester rush. But it is very, very viable tactic, and actually can probably be a bit of a nuisance to some people, as it will be a new way for NOD to put pressure on someone's harvester almost instantaneously. They do a significant amount of damage at even levels. Like I said, they are just about on par with the damage coming out from the laser troopers, so they actually chunk through vehicles pretty quickly. So always be aware that this is an opening that could happen when the laser drones get released. Laser drones are also very good at cleaning up vehicles that can't respond to them in the air. Things like the NOD Chem Buggy will not last very long. They can also deal significant damage to tanks too, as shown here versus the GDI Predator. You will notice that they are fairly slow going in terms of their DPS, and I think often you'll notice that they are better in swarms, as in multiple sets of units attacking one target. But we will talk about that as the video goes on. They are a cheap, effective way of dealing with high-power ground units though, and I think there will be some use for them going up against heavy vehicle decks, especially ones that don't have that many great responses to air, because they are a very cheap way of getting something onto the battlefield to contest those pads, whilst also destroying vehicles. Maybe one of their best uses is dealing with these rooted ground units like the Giga Cannon and the MLRS. They are a cheap way of just getting pressure onto them, and if you lose them, it's only 20 Tiberium down the drain. If you manage to get the kill, it is a huge Tiberium gain for you. Like I said, in multiples, drone swarms can actually be very threatening. Even versus this mighty rockworm, as you see here, they will start to chunk through it very quickly. They have a very high base attack speed, and actually don't have to reload as quickly as the laser troopers or missile troopers do. Let's compare their DPS to their biggest counterpart on NOD's side, which is probably the Banshee. The Banshee is significantly higher DPS, but not by much for the cost. You'll notice that the laser drones don't fall too far behind in terms of time taken to kill an equal level predator. Things that laser drones will struggle against, even though they are designed to be good against vehicles, is any vehicle that can actually respond to them, even the Rhino or the Buggy. That is for the simple fact that they are very low HP. So, it won't take much damage to actually kill single units of this laser drone squad, and once they lose some of their squad units, they are also going to lose some of their DPS. Even the attack bikes will take out multiple in one hit, which means that laser drones are often going to be best paired up in sets of multiples, although this won't work versus every single unit that you come across. Wolverines and Widowmakers with high attack speed in the air will very quickly make short work of laser drones, so you will have to be very careful about how you approach these types of units. It's not impossible to kill Wolverines with laser drones, and I will just sort of discuss that in a few minutes in the video, but do note that high attack speed units will make very, very quick work of the laser drones. So I noted that in pairs or in triplets, the laser drones can actually be very effective, and you can see here any of the matchups that they previously lost when going one-on-one head-to-head, they actually start to do a little bit better when paired up in those pairs. Pitbulls and Rhinos, which will be the same for attack bikes and buggies, they will be made quick work of when paired up against sets of laser drones. Now, laser drones can actually beat the Wolverine. This is when used in conjunction with Oxana. Oxana makes use of their very high base attack speed and actually significantly boosts the DPS of laser drones. If we go back to that matchup versus the Banshee, if we boost the laser drones when going up against a similar level tank, the laser drones, even when attacking after the Banshee, do end up coming out on top because of that consistent damage increase that they have with the Oksana buff, which is pretty impressive for a 20 cost unit. Now let's have a look at the extremely bad matchups for the laser drones. As I said, laser troopers and missile troopers, they will deal with them very, very quickly. You can have a look at air-to-air units like the Banshee or the Talon, and laser drones cannot respond in the air, and that makes them easy targets for things like these particular air-to-air units. As we know, the Talon and Banshee are the slightly lightweight air-to-air units. When it comes to the heavyweight air-to-air units, they'll also not survive long too. Although the Phantom's reload time does not make it the optimal unit at dealing with these laser drones because it doesn't get them off the field very quickly. However, the Hammerhead, with its consistent shooting, will be very easy to clean up squads of laser drones. They do have some poor ground matchups as well, like the Widowmaker, as I said before, with the Wolverine. The missile barrage coming from the Widowmaker is a quick way of dealing with the laser drones in the air. And of course, things like the Sandstorm. Absolutely blink of an eye and you miss it. So what decks do I think that the laser drones will be good in? I don't think they're going to be a direct replacement for laser troopers because they are very squishy and very easy to deal with. However, in NOD air decks, you may see them get some use because they are a good way of dealing with vehicles for cheap. And sets of laser drones will be okay at dealing with a bike rush, for instance, on your harvester. We'll have to see how the meta pans out with these new NOD units, but I'm really excited to see where they fit in and how much use they're going to get across the board.